Hello, how are you doing? I'm here to show a quick way to create a Next.js plus Google Gemini project that you can use to create some kind of product or whatever kind of website you're going for really quickly and very, very easy to use. So this is just a little mock-up of something, just an input output. You ask a question: who is the CEO of Facebook? And it gives us Mark Zuckerberg. Let's do another one just to make sure. Why does soda taste good? And we get some ideas about why soda tastes good. Saltiness, sweetness, sourness, bitterness, umami. These are all the taste buds. But yeah, we're gonna try and build something like this, and then from there we can build whatever we want using Google's new AI. And first thing you want to do is gonna have a Google account and log into the Google AI Studio. It's at aistudio.google.com. That'll bring you here, and from here you can actually just use it like this, but there's going to be something we need from here, and it's going to be this little bit of code, and we want the JavaScript way of doing it, and we're going to need that. So make sure you have this, and we can go ahead and create a new Next.js application, because that is what we're going to build on top of. So we're going to go to Next.js. We're going to create our app. I just created one right before I started recording in the directory I wanted, and then you take what I just copied from nextjs.org, you put it in here. It'll ask you what you want to name it. You do want to use TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind, of course. Everything can be in that source directory, and we can use the new app router navigation. And that's all I've done so far. So now we can go ahead and cd into our actual directory where we created that. Oh, I think I'm spelling things wrong. Next.js. And then now we can start the development server. Well, actually, before we even do that, we're going to get a new terminal or a new VS Code window, and we're going to just go from there, because now we're in the folder of where all the stuff is that we're touching. So now we can use Control-Shift tilde to open another terminal, and now we can type in npx next dev, and that'll start our development server on localhost 3000. 3001 in this case, because I haven't closed the old one, but that's okay. And then we can go to that root, and the corresponding file that controls a lot of the stuff on this particular root is right here. And what we're going to do is delete everything from the second, the div in the main. The div in the main, we're going to delete everything, right? And we're going to just make a couple spaces here, because we're going to have some things we need to create, some variables and whatnot. So now we need to create an env.local file, right? So because we need an API key, we want to securely in Next.js have our file, our API key that we're going to get from Google be securely passed to our clients, right? We don't want to give them the actual key. We just want to point to it and then have that run on our server whenever it asks for that key. So what we're going to do is create one, and we're going to call it next_public_API. And I wouldn't even call this API in the actual application. That's just kind of, not something you want to do, but it's okay. And we will get our API key in a moment. So we just need to have that at the ready. So just go ahead and create that file. It needs to be in your root directory of your application, which would be here. All right, now we can go back to page. And now that we have a working server, let's just make sure we got everything we need. So we're going to need to have some pieces of state. We're going to need an input, and we're going to need a response, whatever the output is. So let's go ahead and just create those really fast here. We want an input and set input. and I'm going to just call this one response and response data. Or no, response data set response data sounds better. Let's go. We're moving. We're grooving. All right. So now we have some state to hold our variables from when we prompt the user on the browser to do something, right? We want to store their input of whatever they type in the box, and we want to show the output of whatever came back from the call to the API. So now we're going to need to have a call from the API. And luckily, the website AI Studio gives us some boilerplate code that we can kind of just rip and, you know, just have. So we're going to use a couple of these little bits. We're going to need this, which is just, oh wait, this doesn't go here. I'm pretty sure this goes up here. And then we have this function that essentially just does everything we need it to do, and then it'll just run every time we reload the page, essentially. And if we go to our console right now, literally we almost already have everything we need. Let me just reload the page. We got an error. What is our error? Oh, we're using client stuff. So we need to tell the server that we are trying to use client. And now we have another error. Oh, we don't have the API. We don't have the package that we need, which would be npm Google generative AI. So I'm gonna just go ahead and make another terminal real fast and copy in this, install it into our application here. Oh boy, that looks so scary. And now it did call it, but it didn't work because our API key is literally your API key. So now we need to replace that with our actual API key. And where you get that from on the Google AI Studio is over on the left top side of the screen. You'll find get API key. It'll probably look a little different than this, but you want to click this button and it'll generate you a new key. I'm not going to do that. I already have a key, so I'll just use it again. And then after this, I'll probably delete it. But now that you have your key, you should be able to use your env.local to safely pass your API key to this function here. And then the way you do that is with process.env.next public API, just like this. And then you want to pass it as a string because we're using TypeScript. Now that we have all that set up, we can actually get a response from the API. Now that we have our key and we got that little bit of boilerplate from Google themselves to get us started, right? So now we have to update this code here with the things we had added earlier, our state, so that we can track the response and then give it our actual input from our user, which will be down here. So first thing I'm going to do is add set response data to response.text. So now we have now saved, oh wait, I forgot this is a function. We've now saved the information that is in there in the response text to our response data. Now that we have done that, we're also adding in the set input so that when we refresh, or no, not refresh, whenever we're done having this call happen, we can re-empty the input so you can input again without having to erase something before you can run your input. So now that we have all of this stuff set up, we can kind of worry about the front end and how we're going to link those things to our function here. Now we can do some basic things, right? We can set up like a header or something. Where you're going to say something like Google Gemini and NextJS. and then a div more than likely, that, and then we're going to have maybe our output here. There's no styling, so once I do inevitably press the save key, it's going to look terrible, but we can fix that. We're going to have a text area to display the output of what we received, okay? And we're going to make it read only. We don't really need to type in it or anything like that. And then we want to set the value that it has to the response data that we're going to receive. So with just this, we should be good to go. So let's continue. We're going to do, you know, like 20 rows. It's going to have a lot of text, so we want to give it a little bit more space to show you what's going on. Next, we're going to have the input. I'm typing input when I'm not meaning to do that. And here we're going to do another text area, but this time we're going to try to pass the characters inside of the text box to our set input state. And then we're going to take that state and use it to run whenever we click the button after we've already filled out the form, and then we're good to go. So yeah. For this one, you don't want as many rows. I'm going to say just, I don't know, 3. We do want to type here. We want to, on change, we want to do, on an event, I'm going to set the input, and it's going to be e.target.value. And let me get an error here. I'm pretty sure 3 is a number. Oh, I forgot the S. Okay, and now we can close this. And now we have an input and an output, both moving the state around, and now we need a button to kind of seal the deal here. Just create a button that on click runs the function here, and then we're going to have it labeled like this so that we can see what the outcome is. I'm going to change it to run Gemini, if I could spell. Run Gemini Pro, and I just want to link those together. We're going to reload the page. Now we have all those things that I was speaking about on the page. We're going to remove this because it's running continuously, which is bad. And it doesn't look great because we have no styling. And I'm really upset. I hope this isn't like charge me money or anything. Surely it'll just stop allowing me to make API calls and rate limit me. I hope this isn't even like English. But anyway, let's go ahead and test our input before we even go anywhere, because we want to make sure everything's working before we start moving forward. And here's just a console of, well, all the, holy crap, all the stuff that came through. And we're going to ask it the same question: why does soda taste good? And then we hit this button, and it should call the API, and the output should appear in the text box, which it does. And you know, from here you could like do whatever you want, really. You could build a chatbot, or you could build, you know, some type of application that helps use artificial intelligence to do something else. You know, it's a lot of options here, and it was really fast. Not a lot of code here. Pretty happy with it, honestly. Might make something more than just these boilerplate examples, but I'm going to style it just a little bit